Hello and welcome to another episode in the series of Impact, where we talk life, we talk what we have been doing and how life has changed us to who we are. And today I have another special guest with me. He's been recently being awarded the Science Teacher of the Year by the Diversity Mark. He is a chemist by trade or profession, and he is a father, husband, a preacher man, and a humble man. I just want to say welcome to Astor Tate. Hello, sir.
Yes, my brethren. Greetings, man. It's a joy, man, to be on the program with you this week.
It's good to be with you, and it was a pleasure to be at the award ceremony recently that you were awarded the Teacher of the Year by the Jamaica National Bank, and highlighting your achievement. But yeah, we're gonna hear some more about this. But I think I just want to start by I've said a bit about the man, but who would you say Astor is?
Wow, that's a difficult question and could take us all afternoon to to go through it. But at the end of it all, I'd like to use that to encapsulate it. I am a people person, and I fully believe that I should live a life that is in service to others. And that is really what dictates my actions and my thinking on a daily basis. I am for people, and I believe that I should live such that I have an impact on those who I meet on a day-to-day basis. So that's it for me. I start with the end in mind. That's what I want to be remembered for.
Yeah. That's a good thing, a people person, and we're going to delve into this and to find out how did you and what makes you become this people person. But you're from the beautiful island of Jamaica.
Yes, definitely.
And a humble man, but I want to know about the Astor as a little boy, as far back as you can remember, the little boy Astor.
Boy, that's gonna take me way back. But growing up in Jamaica was one of the most beautiful experiences one could ever have. Like I don't know how one could ever enjoy life and not be Jamaican. But yeah, I grew up in the rural parts of Jamaica, rural St. Catherine, that is, in the hills. A little community called Duxes. It's one of those weird names that most people would have never heard of.
Yeah, I never heard of it before myself.
One that they would have heard about would have been Point Hill.
Yeah.
So most persons are familiar with Point Hill, St. Catherine. That's just north of Dovecote Memorial Park.
Yeah, okay.
Who knows Dovecote? If you're from Jamaica, you'll know of Dovecote. We're north of Dovecote. I'd say maybe 18 miles north of Dovecote. So within Point Hill, now there's a small community called Duxes. That's Duxes. Right. So that's the little community in which I grew up. And it's a farming community. And so, in the earlier years, it would be mostly sugarcane.
Yeah.
And there is, individual men would have their own small farms on which they produce, vegetables, root crops that they would use for the home and, of course, also sell in the markets. So that's the sort of community we're coming from. Very little transportation. You walk everywhere, really, unless you want to go into Spanish Town, which will be one of our closest towns. Linstead is not too far either. But yeah, that would be our closest town that we would commute to. But everywhere else, you're generally thinking of walking a mile, 2 miles here or there. So that's the sort of an area that I'm from. My parents, my mother worked, well, she worked with the now defunct Pressbox Limited. And so that was her 9 to 5. But my father was sort of between two worlds. So he's in farming and also in cutting lumber and selling lumber to different individuals. So That's where I think the main driver for me came from, because it was farming.
Yeah.
Much of my earlier days was, very, very involved in farming.
So you're a farmer. You're a farmer from a boy.
Yes, man, you couldn't escape it, because my father would send me, or he would take me along. And so, you talk about impact.
Mm.
Now, looking back on some of the things I learned, I learned so much from my father,
Mm.
that when I went to high school and I did agricultural science, everything made sense, because he had taught me so much of these things that I'm now just reading in books.
Right.
That he never read in book, but he experimented, and once he had observed and put his results together, he had drawn conclusions and then developed action plans based off these. So these are the things he taught me, which eventually I came to see in books.
What was a hands-on and practical thing that you were there with your dad learning and on the job.
That's right. That's right.
So yeah, you were from this rural community and you did farming. How was it in school? Did you in primary school? What did you excel in apart from the farming?
Well, see, primary school, I think I just about everything. I excelled in everything. I loved reading. I always say to people, I can't swim and I can't climb trees because I'm afraid of heights. So that traps me on the ground.
Mm.
I do ground-based activities, chief of which was reading. So
Yeah.
I would read everything. You talk about science textbooks, you talk about books on how to make lasers, how to understand spacecraft and space, all of these things, biology textbooks. I've been reading all of these books from very, very, very early.
What
So I
what what
was
what
Smith very
what
early.
what drive you into science? Why was it? What was it so special about the sciences?
My father had a love for science. He didn't finish high school, but he had a love for science. And then he had a brother who was it's a sort of a self-taught engineer.
Yeah.
So he would send these books from Canada and send all these magazines from Canada, send them down. And so I had access to all of these different scientific books that I was reading. My mother did a fair bit of science as well. So there are all of these different textbooks. And so from early on, I was steeped in the reading of these books. So that really, I think, gave me the impetus to go into science.
It's interesting that I'm just thinking about with the education of children nowadays, where technology is there and everybody's on smart devices, but having those books in. So if it was some maths book, we would have become a mathematician, but the science was all in there.
Yes.
Which
Science was the main thing. That
yeah.
was most of those books were on how to make stuff, how to do different, technical work on like small engines.
Yeah.
Like a power saw. And all of these different manuals were there as well. So my father also dabbled in, because he did lumber, he always had power saws, and he was one of those first persons within the area who could actually fix them.
Okay.
So that's also something I learned.
Mm-hmm.
How to fix. I don't ask me, I don't remember anything now, but he would also show me how to, pull it apart, put it together, change different parts of these power saws. So that was also another aspect of the early impact.
So when you went to high school and from primary school move on to high school, I guess you excelled in this subject.
Well, if I were to tell my high school journey to most people, they would never believe it.
Mm. Let's hear about it then.
Never, ever believe it, because it's people who know me now would not dream that I had that type of a past.
Mm.
So, leaving primary school, one of the top performers, went to San Diego High School. In my area, if you were, selected to go to San Diego High School, it means that you have done extremely well. You're probably one of the top two persons from my year pass common entrance for San Diego. And, that would tell you that those are the top two persons in the school, really.
Yeah.
So the top two persons in the school, top three persons would get a pass to San Diego within that time. And so, the expectation was that, of course, I was going to do well. At church, I was well known, leading in all sorts of things. So it's expected that I'm going to do well. But, I fell in love with football.
Mm.
And And as the years went on, first form wasn't bad. Second form was okay. Third form was average. By the time I got to fourth form, I had a serious love for football. That started to impact the academics.
Yeah.
I would do less academics and play more football. Because in my mind, I wanted to become a footballer.
Mm.
I was a late starter though, because growing up in the country, there was no exposure to proper training or anything until we went to high school. So really late starter, but still had the desire to become a professional footballer. In the evenings, all football. I'd go different training, play with different teams, try out for the school team as well. So the academics really took a hit, but not all of the academics, because I love geography.
Yeah.
I sincerely love geography, and I excel at geography. Sciences were okay. Maths was good. But the real, shocker came in year 11. Because when I got to grade 11 now in Jamaica, as we call it, football was in my blood. I just couldn't get rid of it. I went to school every day with gear just to play football. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Only Sabbath, I go to church, so no football. And then Sunday again, football. So academics really took a hit because I didn't prepare properly for the exams.
Yeah.
When I left St. Diego, at the end of St. Diego rather, I was now part of the Money Cup team, but I only at that time passed 4 subjects.
Mm.
And I really the one I really passed was geography. The others I just scraped. And biology was like a 3.
Yeah.
Chemistry I failed. I failed math. No, I failed math not because I couldn't do it, because
you didn't prepare.
I just did madness in the exam. So that was a shocker for everyone. Because to hear that I just leave 4 subjects and I barely passed those 4 subjects, that messed up everyone's idea, because they're like, nah, it's not possible. My math teacher laughed.
Mm.
This is my evening class math teacher, though, not my normal class teacher. He could only laugh because he knew who I was in terms of math.
Yeah.
And I told him what happened. I just went in and just, bad strategy, and it just never happened. So, that really shook me. Because by the time I got to the September, I never had enough subject to get a repeat at St. Diego to play Money Cup that year either. So the football is gone.
Mm.
Everyone else is moving on. I'm stationary because I can't go left nor right.
Yeah.
I have no math. So there's nothing I can do really. So, that was when everything really hit the fan.
So let me ask you, during this time when you were, football was the thing for you, how did your parents react to, and seeing that you weren't doing well? What did they say?
This is one of the funniest things I say about my family up to now. My parents supported me going to football. I would get funding to go training wherever. There was nothing that's to say, don't go after it.
Mm.
But I would always get that, there's no hindrance to me on football whatsoever.
Where did they have a desire for you to become a professional?
No, it was always academics. So they're always pushing academics to make sure you study. So that's where the push is always to study. But you want to play football. There's no one to say, don't go, you can't go, you're not going to get this. I went to training for the whole summer. No problem.
So they supported what your desires.
I would say indirectly. They didn't directly support it, but indirectly, I was supported.
Yeah. So they were supporting you, and you feel what was it? How did they respond when they realized that you didn't do as well as they expected you to?
My father is not very emotive, so there was nothing from him really. My mother, on the other hand, would quarrel for I think the entire weekend. I think we got the result on Friday.
Yeah.
She would quarrel until about the Monday. So it was an unending reprimand for a weekend. So it was bitter. It was bitter. And I had no counter arguments. I had nothing. Absolutely nothing. So at that point, she washed her hands. She said she was finished. So anything else, that's what's going to happen it would be me or myself and my father, or by myself, I'd have to do it.
I know, especially nowadays, you ask any young boy in school, what do they want to? Majority of them will say, "I want to become a footballer." And up to a couple of weeks ago, I was having a conversation with some children and some boys about the same thing. I'm saying, becoming a footballer. I've been teaching for over 25 years now, and I've never had any of my children become successful at football. The odds are so far for that. And it's something that you can relate to very well.
It is. And I think, especially in the UK, I don't think students understand that. And I use one person. I don't use football. It's because this is just generally now the arts and sports. Whenever they I see them having an inclination to do either the arts or sports, I say to them, I only know one Stormzy.
Mm-hmm.
These are once in a generation persons.
Yeah.
So the odds of so many of you making it within this arena is close to zero. So I would say pursue something else alongside this, because I just know one Stormzy. And when you go football, it's even worse.
Yeah.
You got thousands of kids in hundreds of academies.
Mm-hmm.
Very few gonna make. You got 20 teams at the top.
Yeah.
So
one Ronaldo, one Messi, one Saka, one.
There you go.
There's not going to be much scope. And the other thing is to look at is an injury can a footballer's life doesn't last very long, and an injury can just shorten your life. And unless you have something to rally back on,
it's gone. That's it. And you once you lose that time, you're not getting it back. Getting it back. But the thing is, I try not. It's how to harness that passion that they have.
Mm-hmm.
Without killing the dream.
Yeah.
So, you want to be a footballer? I'd say pursue it. But understand what the limitations are and what the permutations are when you go after this type of a dream. So that, when an eventuality is not the eventuality that you want, becomes a reality, you're not shocked.
Yeah.
Then go off into a spiral of depression. So, that's the sort of a guidance I would offer them.
So tell us now, how did you recover from, that catastrophe in your life to, what was the change?
The other side will shock you too, and all of those who are listening. Because I had to then find a school for myself.
Mm.
And the funding and everything, it would not come from my mother because she's finished.
Yeah.
I did not ask my father because I don't know what was going to happen there. But I had an aunt overseas, a grandaunt overseas, and I explained to her my situation, and I got a little funding to sort out, uniform and whatnot. So I went to a school because I heard that they were taking in individuals. I went to the school called Jose Marti Technical High School, just in Twickenham Park, just outside of Spanish Town. And a school built by the Cubans and gifted to Jamaica. So I went out there and I made inquiries, and they asked me to speak with the vice principal. And I went in, and I was very honest with her.
Mm. And
she said, okay, here's the option you have. Start at year 10. I've graduated from St. Diego, year 11, did everything. She was giving me this option to start from, the only option is to start from grade 10.
So you're going back?
Going back at least 2 years now. I'm like, okay. I took it.
Mm.
Yeah, it was weird. It was strange. It probably didn't make sense to most people, but I took it. And, one of the things that, I always remember in that interaction, and you talk about impact, being able to speak, and to carry a conversation, to make an argument,
to
cause people to listen and to take an action. that's advantageous to you. That's something I would have learned from church. Carrying a program, leading a presentation, running a team. These are things that we have been doing from from very early.
Yeah.
Within the church structure.
Yeah.
And so, going there on my own to have this conversation with this vice principal was not an issue.
So you were trained, you had the training because you were doing these things in church, and you were able to negotiate and deal with
Yeah.
adults.
I went in, had the conversation with her, and she agreed, and I got a space. Went back to year 10 and started the cycle again, doing all the sciences and some additional subjects at this point, and went into the school, and within 2 years, I was head boy. Well, let me say within 1 year.
Wow.
By the time I got to grade 11, I was head boy.
Yeah. Talk about a change, yeah?
Complete change, man. A complete change. Because now I was settled. Now I was laser focused on academics. They said I couldn't play football the year I came in because I had to sit out a year. And then the other year, the school decided to not participate in the competition. So there was no football for me. So
blessings in this guy.
Blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
So, it was academics all the way. And by this time, I redid some of this. Well, I did redid English, got a better grade, went into year 11, got all of these subjects, 1s and 2s, got awarded for agricultural science, high score in Jamaica as well. So, that's how things change. Dramatically changed. And out of going into Jose, I also met someone who put me on to someone she knew at Excelsior Community College.
Yeah.
Which also now became my next school. So out of going to Jose, got into Excelsior Community College afterwards because of that connection. Yeah, but think when you talk about impact,
yeah,
this is it. Because I look at my life at Jose within 2 years and all that happened, I credit church, the person that they saw. Because they immediately I stepped in, they saw a leader. From in the classroom to the whole school saw a leader. And I was invited to do panel discussions with parents. Anything was happening, the principal would call me, Tate, I need to say a few words. It doesn't matter the event. Whatever the event was that was going on in the school, whoever the persons were, whoever the stakeholders were, I would be asked to say even a few words.
So the training you got in church was very useful in your not struggles, but in you going back to make a difference, to start over again, which you took running, and you had the reward.
I took everything this time, man. I learned my lessons, and I knew where the shortcomings were, and I made sure not to repeat them this time. So I did what I know I should have done that I didn't do.
Yeah. And from there on, you move on to going to the university.
Right. So I went to Excelsior College for 1 year. Did a program. It was a preliminary science program that you could do rather than doing A levels for 2 years. You do that program in 1 year. You could be in university. So from then on, I went to UA and read for a degree in food chemistry and pure chemistry.
And you were successful in that. And while at UA, you had some leadership roles there?
Well, while at UA, the first degree, when I was doing that degree, on Hall, I had a role with as a public relations officer with my dorm. And like a subject rep also. But yeah, so not much leadership roles then. I think when I really got a role was when I went back to grad school some years after. But that first degree was, again, a wonderful time learning. I learned so much. I learned, the basics really of what today I still use. So, it was what I say transform my understanding of life on a whole.
Yeah.
Placed me on a trajectory, that took me to this point now.
Now, I listened to you at the recent award ceremony, and you said something that shocked me. You said you're not a trained teacher, but you're awarded Teacher of the Year. So tell me about, you went into science and all of this, and now you're a Teacher of the Year. So tell me, how did you get from becoming a chemist to being a teacher?
The funny thing is, I wanted to do medicine when I went to University of the West Indies. And because I didn't have the top grades, route that was offered would require something in the region of $1 million for each year for 3 years, and then some more. And there was no way. I was just took student loan to do that. There was no way I could finance that. So that never worked.
Yeah.
So a friend of mine said, "Let's go do food chemistry." I said, "All right, do we have to do math?" He said, "No." I said, "Okay, let's do it." And that was it. So I did food chemistry and pure chemistry. And I was really hoping to, find some employment within the food sector. But as I finished, due to, financial constraints, I had to get a job immediately.
Yeah.
So I was like, whatever job I can get now, I need to get it because I've got a student loan as well. So I need to find some sort of employment. So I applied for jobs in the food industry, and I applied for teaching jobs because I heard that you could get a teaching job with your degree.
Yeah.
So I applied for the teaching job. Someone said apply at Arden, and they called me for the interview. I went in, did the interview, and again I could mention church. All this time I was teaching in church.
Yeah.
All this time I've been teaching, whether it was youth class or adult classes, I was teaching. All this time I was teaching, so I could talk about that.
Yeah.
So I went, and then at UA, of course, I was always teaching and tutoring students. Whatever I learned, I could teach others, and I would always be sharing and sharing and sharing. So went to the interview, got through. Like the very same day, by the time I came down to halfway through, I got a call. Yes, we are accepting you. And that was it. I got into teaching just like that. I had no training whatsoever except what I had at church. Went into teaching at 2008 and haven't really looked back. And
you have been teaching the science since then?
I've been teaching sciences all through then. The only difference now is that I'm teaching physics now. I'm almost becoming a physics specialist now, which is unheard of because I only did physics at year 11.
Yeah.
15 years ago. And to now be teaching it, that's probably the strangest and newest part of the adventure.
So you're always on an adventure. So you did some years in Jamaica teaching, and then, continuing your adventure, your journey, your transition to the UK. Tell us, what was that move like?
Yes. This move to the UK was one I started earlier, but I put pause on it because I didn't understand the process completely. So whilst I just started teaching, someone sent me a link and said I should apply. But I figured I needed the teaching diploma.
Yeah.
And I would need some financing to get me across. So not having those, I said, maybe it's not for me now. So I just left it up. And then, some years after, a friend of mine who we got into the same situation in grad school, he went into teaching and then did the application, was successful. I was just fortunate to meet him that day in Kingston. And he told me that, he just did the visa and he's going. I said, what? I said, do you have a diploma? I said, no. He said, you don't need that. I said, okay, well, fine. I'm going to do this now then. So, I had a conversation with my wife and she said, yeah, that's fine. And I did the application, was successful, and came across. So when I left William Nib at the time, because I was at William Nib for like 2 years, and then I came here, and it was just the funny thing is I say to people, when I came here, they just put me in. You know, I think one of the comment was my recommendation was so good.
Yeah.
They just put me straight into the classroom. So, you know, I should have had a mentor going with me through and through and through and through and through.
No
I had
induction.
listen, man, straight in, and I was teaching 3 sciences.
Mm-hmm.
Immediately, chemistry, physics, biology, straight away.
Wow.
GCSE preparation immediately as I got into school.
And that I know, you know, I've taught in Jamaica before coming here and doing teaching myself, and you know, it's a completely different world. So how did you fit in? Tell me that how you fit
The thing is, for me, I say this: grad school in if you do grad school in Jamaica, and if you do the sciences, particularly chemistry, there is nothing in the world you can't do.
in.
If you can survive grad school in Jamaica up to the point where you can write a thesis in chemistry, I'm telling you that there's nothing you can't do. Whether it be academics, whether it be engineering, because you have different equipment that you have to work on and help, because we don't have the resources to have the best equipment. So you have to make do with what you have. So you learn so much, so many skills.
By the way,
On top of that, you learn research and the value of research and how to implement research and how to, you know, assess information and make use of it. So coming into this novel situation was just like, I'm reading for, you know, another chemistry degree now. It's just a different type of degree now.
Yeah.
You know, it's about, observations. Observe where you are, do your reading, all right? What are you going to apply now? What are you going to apply to this situation now that's going to be to your advantage? So that's it. That's the approach. It's just about problem solving.
Yeah.
Because I'm seeing some novel things. I'm seeing things done differently. There's no chalkboard. There's a whiteboard. Then it's a PowerPoint that you have to do, and then all lessons are more or less prepared already, or you have to prepare them, and you have to follow this format. And then because we are a part of a multi-academy trust, then the assessments come down from the federation, so you don't design your own assessments. So you have to go along a rota to have your students ready for these set of topics by the time that they are issued. So, you know, it's just about observing, evaluating, implementing, reassessing, and going. That's the sort of environment. And then the social side, you know, it's a completely different world, completely different attitudes that, you know, I have not seen. Because I worked in Kingston at one of the top schools at Arden High School. Then I worked in Williamney, which you'd say, okay, that's rural, mostly rural students. So you tend to see a different attitude. But then coming to the UK, like, no.
What you completely different world.
No, what you expected and what you see is like, wow. Because I'm thinking first world, okay, students are going to be, you know, attentive. They're going to be aspirational, you know, because there's so much you can be and so much you can do and so much that's available to you. But then when you come and you see students have zero care and zero interest, zero, what the thing called initiative is non-existent.
Yeah.
Then you say, oh, wow. What do you do? How do you excite them? How do you motivate them? How do you pump them up to do stuff? Because they have no care whatsoever. And you know, it's
so you spend the first year kind of sucking in that in and trying to see, you know, working on strategies, how you're going to make a difference, how you're going to impact these children who have no care in the world, whose attitude to learning is more about the material things of life rather than, you know, seeing the value of education. So tell us, what are some of the things, how did you make a difference? What are some of the things you had to do?
My experience at William Nib was really a preparation for what I was coming to face. In Western Jamaica, the interest in education is shifting or waning because of scamming. That's one. Number two, if we need to look at the anthropology and sociology and look at the society in that through those sorts of a lens to really understand what's going on in the classroom. In Western Jamaica, the main driver of the economy is tourism. You don't need education to be economically well off in tourism.
Yeah.
You could be a tour bus driver, and you could build a house and take care of your family from that. You don't need to put on a jacket and tie or anything like that and have how many subjects and how many degrees to do that sort of a thing. You could work in the bar, you could do so many things within the sector that do not require a high level of education.
Yeah.
So students don't necessarily have a strong desire in many regions for higher education because you don't need it. All the role models around them that their eyes can see are successful people who don't really need an education.
Yeah.
They don't really need it when you think about it. And then because scamming was coming in at that time, 2018, 2019, many were seeing a way out that, again, you don't need an education for. So when I came to Peckham and I met some of these students, I'm seeing, I watched that. Listen, Craig. There's this series called Top Boy.
Yeah.
I got here the August, and I watched it maybe about September, October. I watched that series. And it explained everything to me. I went to school with this movie, this series of movies on Netflix, and I dutifully watched it and learned the language, learned the mannerism, learned the ideologies, everything I learned from that movie. And I understood what I was dealing with. And I said, okay, I know what I'm dealing with now. I'm in Peckham. I'm in an area where there's not much privilege.
Yeah.
Predominantly Black. So you're thinking about what are the role models that they're going to see. Okay, you're thinking, okay, what are the aspirations then based off what they are seeing? Many of them, when I begin to have these conversations, they've never been into Central London. They've never been on the tube. I said to them, we're going to a conference session, we were getting £13 for lunch. They were like, what? They're only accustomed to paying £2 for chicken and chip at the shop. So to hear that I'm going to spend £13 on a meal, that's strange. They don't ever envision spending so much money on a meal. So that tells you, what the drive is then. Is just to have enough to get a Zanetti or Moncler jacket, a nice pair of trainers, a jumpsuit, and you can buy a £2 meal at the chicken and chip shop. That's enough.
Because it is what they're seeing in their society, is what society is reflecting. And what I also know is that a lot of these reality shows that gives you hope and dreams, AGT, Britain Got Talent, and all these things, the voices, you see all these things and thinking, quick money, you don't need this. And, footballers earning so much, everybody wants to be a footballer. And then you have gone through that yourself, realizing it's not that experience. So you had to adjust and use those examples and experiences to deal with these children.
The thing for me now is this is where the core Astor came out, because I'm known as a sort of a motivational person. So this is what they got on a daily basis. They got to the point where some were saying, sorry, you should go into motivation rather than teaching. Because every lesson I would have to intersperse some motivation, because you can't teach without it. Because the people are sitting not interested. If you don't give them the book, they don't take up the book. If you don't have a pen, they don't have a pen. If you don't have a pencil, they don't have a pencil. If you don't have a ruler, they don't have a ruler. If you don't have a calculator, they don't have a calculator. So you need to provide everything, one, and then you need to pump them up to do the work too. So half of your time is really spent
motivating
them, encouraging them, pushing them to do something. And then you have to show them the value of education to their dream, not to your or the school's dream for them, going on to A levels or going on to university. Because that may not be their dream.
Yeah.
Give you an instance, Craig. There was a student I was teaching physics to. And she was just not interested. Sleep most of the time. And going around the room all the time. One day I decided to just have a casual conversation with her. I asked her, what do you plan to do after this? She said she wanted to go into makeup. And here. As a matter of fact, she said she's making 30 pounds a head at the moment. I'm teaching her physics.
Yeah.
She's already making money from what her desired career is. That has nothing to do with physics.
Yeah.
I spoke to another guy. He said to me, sir, I'm here doing intervention today. I could be online. I could possibly make £20,000 tonight. Because he's a streamer.
Yeah.
He doesn't need all of this physics and thing I'm teaching him. He's a streamer. He's a gamer.
Yeah.
That's a career today. That is a career today.
Yes.
Right. So the thing is now, is how do you take all of that passion that they do have and channel it to make them better off? Same guy said to me, sir, don't worry, because he saw that I just got upset and just disappointed, and over I'm trying, and they're just not coming. He said to me, sir, don't worry, I'm gonna make you proud. I'm gonna pass all of these. I said, no, you want to make me proud? When I come back and see you next 10 to 15 years, if you are not living in a council flat and you have your own place and you are taking care of your family, then I know you would have made it. So it's about motivation, and I take their own stories. I saw a guy, like, he wanted to be a industry guy, hustler.
Yeah.
In selling this and selling that. And I said to him, listen, what I'm teaching you, I'm not teaching you to become an academic. I want you to learn to think. Because if you can't think, this thing that you're trying to do, you won't make it. Because if you aren't able to think, and you're a hustler in the street, one, they're going to either rob you, or police will have to be hunting you down for some foolish thing you would have done, or they're going to be trying to kill you. I said, one of the three things going to happen to you. And can I tell you that 2 years after, his cousins came to tell me that he was arrested, and he didn't. But I see these things coming, and this is the thing for me. Education is a tool to help you to survive.
Yeah.
That's what is my mantra. That's what drives me in the classroom. I'm not pushing for you to get A star, all nines, just for that. Because if you get that and you fail the life tests, all of what I've done is of no use. If you get all the nines and you still end up in prison, you still end up in a financial situation because of poor decision making, where now you have to be begging and borrowing and all these things just to survive for a day. You can't take care of your family. They're going to take you to court for your kids and all these things. You fail.
I usually speak to my student and I talk about 10%, the 10% at the top and the 10% at the bottom. And you see those children who are heading towards that bottom, the 10-3. I say, there are 30 children in a class. There's going to 10%. That's 3 of you will reach the top 10%. 3 of you might never survive life, or might be on the street, might be drugs out, might be dead, whatever. The others will, survive and be average. Where do you want to go? And you can see those children based on family, based on society, based on where they're growing up, what there is happening around them, that you can see where they're heading to. And it's your job as a teacher to motivate them from that. Have you seen that education, the role of yourself as a teacher in the classroom is different, and with your experience and that vision of what education should be is different from what generally teachers are doing?
I'm going to be even frank with that. I notice that when students come back to look for us after having left the school,
Mm-hmm.
they embrace the Black teachers. They don't do the same with white teachers.
Mm-hmm.
They will run and come and hug you. These are things that, and I tell you what, even while at school, they want to do it.
Yeah.
For safeguarding reasons, we don't allow that to happen.
Yeah.
But they have that connection with us because we care.
I tell you what, it's not only been because you care, but I had conversation with people who have grown up, in this country, Black young professionals now, who have said when they were going to school, they didn't see Black teachers in the classroom. They didn't see Black professionals in society. And to see that now, it's a motivating factor because, I remember you just coming and my head teacher telling me, you're like a father figure to these boys. I'm like, what do you mean by that? I was the only Black teacher in the class, in the school. And, they'll say, how do you get them to behave and respond and respect like that just by looking? And, it's something that you are not taught, and it's not something that you can teach. It's just something that you are.
That's it. It's something that must come from within. I keep saying, it's a passion that you have.
Mm-hmm.
And either you have the passion or you don't, but you can't fake passion.
Yeah.
That's something you can fake. And that's why I say, even to, if you see some white colleagues, they're not like that. They're very good teachers, but on a social level, they don't connect with students like that.
Yeah.
Everything is strictly professional. It's strictly by the book, strictly professional, nothing else. You come, you teach, that's it. They're trained to do this and they do it and they execute and that's it. But the impact beyond that, non-existent. Which then, for me, is leaving a little gap. Because there's what we talk about in the hidden curriculum.
Yeah.
That there is more to develop outside of, what is in the book.
Yeah. Yeah.
There is more to develop. And at the end of the day, we are social beings, and you go into the world, you must be able to relate to different people.
Yeah.
If in school we're not teaching you through experience how to relate to people on that level, then we're not really preparing you fully to immerse into what's out there. So, these are some of the things that we have to continue to do. For me, I motivate students every day. They are in my room. If you come in my room, you'll see motivational quotes put up around where you must see it to let you know how important you are, to let you know that, listen, the future is you. And you can be anything you want to be. I have several quotes on my wall. There's a big zoo quote. It says, if we waste man can win a BAFTA, you can do something too. So because I want them to get the message.
Yeah.
This is what I tell teachers, for those who are just coming into the profession, if you're in it for a long time, you don't see change in students within 3 years or within 5 years sometimes. It sometimes takes up to 7 years before you really see a change in a student. So if you quit the first year,
yeah,
you are missing a great opportunity to impact the journey of the student.
Yeah.
If you quit even at year 9, because at this point they really, really get bad, you have lost out again. So I've seen the journey of students from year 7 to year 13. And you can see the transformation, some faster than some.
Yeah.
You can see that transformation over time. And I said to teachers, don't stop plugging away. Don't stop doing what you're doing. Don't stop saying these things, because our subconscious is a sponge and it picks up everything. And we don't dictate how the subconscious is now manifested in the consciousness. Because for us, it happens involuntarily.
Yeah.
Keep putting it into the subconscious. and eventually it will appear in the conscious actions of the individual. So don't stop.
And it's not only what I would even go further, and I don't know how you relate to this. It's not just the children you have to find time for. It's also the parents, isn't it?
Yes.
And supporting them outside of school, because I've gone to watch boys invite me to, or girls invite me to go and come and watch a football match on a Sunday in the cold and it's raining, and I'm like, yeah, what, you go? Because, and the parents are like, wow, this, I didn't believe you would come, I didn't know you would come, because that makes a difference, because they're seeing teachers as not just the person who is teaching education. I don't know how you relate to those in the.
What I'm seeing now, and I think this is one of the things I said I wanted to talk about later on. I don't know what platform or medium, but parenting.
Mm-hmm.
Craig, a lot of parents are giving up.
Yeah.
There are a lot of parents who have given up and are giving up on the children. Some are doing it directly, some are doing it indirectly. When I say directly, they can't manage. The children are, having on display attitudes and behavior that, that's really challenging, that they don't have the tool set. When you're going to work on a car, you open your toolbox and you just don't have the tool to do whatever. A lot of parents don't have the tool set to manage what they're seeing now. We who grew up for me, we grew up in the 80s, 90s. What you see now is completely different. And if you grew up in the 70s and you have a child growing up now, you don't have the tools to deal with them.
Yeah.
So they give up. For others, it's more an indirect, forfeiting of your duties, because the economics demand your time.
Yeah.
So you don't get the chance to spend that quality time with your children, to inculcate in them the principles, the values, and attitudes that you want them to have.
But not only that, just like where we started, when you are talking about how you learn so much from your parents. And, I've done so many of these interviews on impact where it always goes back to you doing things that you saw your parents doing, and it becomes part of you. And you learn so much by just being around your parents and doing things, which is again a hidden curriculum that we often overlook.
So then, Craig, if you only see your mother and father on a weekend, maybe Saturday morning, yeah, maybe Sunday, when everybody's tired and mother's busy in the kitchen and moving around and doing all these chores, and you barely see your father because he might be so tired he's there or he's gone out again. What do you see? You don't see anything, because in a week, they come in when you are sleeping and they go out before you sometimes, or you go out before them, or maybe they work nights. So in the day they sleep, they come in the morning, they haven't got time for you. So you don't see anything. You don't see anything. So who do you see? Your friends, the social media,
yeah,
and the teacher.
Mm-hmm.
So, we then become such a mainstay in the lives of these kids. And when you meet these parents, Greg, I'm finding that a lot of them don't know what to do.
Yeah.
When you make a complaint to them, they ask you, what should I do?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying, wow. If we can't do it, I'm telling you, if teachers fail.
And this is where we have to think about, how do we, as teachers, try to see the whole picture, and knowing that you're not just there to teach education, you're there to teach life. And because the cycle is coming around where if these children grow up without the parents' involvement, the parents who can, when they become parents, what happens?
Okay, thank you. Because you are the parent, your parents parented you to be.
Yeah.
Yes, mainly your influences can come from elsewhere, but that core is coming from what your parents gave you.
Yeah.
So, what are these parents giving these children now that they're going to take into parenting? That's where it's going to be very dangerous now. But you see, I keep saying, if the education department within the government, and they will never see it like how it's meant to be.
Yeah.
The Japanese said education is a tool for survival. And the Japanese is going to be number one. And that was the drive. That was the aim. That was the philosophy. And they have been diligent since.
Yeah.
We have to see it like that. We don't see it like that. For Black people, we saw it as an equalizer.
Mm-hmm.
It was just an equalizer. That's all we saw it as. But when we recognize that even when you get all this education, you're still not equal.
Yeah.
You realize then, okay, okay, what am I missing? So it has got to be a tool for your survival. That's what it's got to be. It's what's going to help you to survive, not just survive, but thrive.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's for me is what guides my approach to students. I'm teaching you how to survive this world. That's what I'm teaching you. Yes, I want you to pass these subjects, but if I say I want you to be, I say to my students all the time, if you're going to be an excellence, you're going to be great at, okay, chemistry, biology, physics. It won't work if you're not a great student.
Yeah.
Because either you're a great student or you're not a great student. Because it carries, okay, you're a great footballer. I said, really? So what about the other areas of your life? If that dedication and diligence doesn't transcend
to every part of your life,
you're not
attitude
as good as you are.
Yeah. Yep.
Or you're not as good as you could be. So I said, an excellent student, and an excellence is not, you don't wake up excellent. Because you know, that's the idea these days.
Yeah.
Like, just wake up, take the phone, and you go into YouTube, and you just listen to all these videos right before the exam. You're ready. So you waste 6 months, 7 months. And then that morning, plug in your earphone, watch your videos, and you're ready. I said, it will not work.
You're going there to pass the test to do this, but you want to be ready. As you said earlier on, it's about you learn the sciences, you learn from your dad. So when you saw the books, you already knew all of this because you had a practical. And even if you don't have to think hard to remember because you have done it. And that is what is needed.
One thing on the impact I never mentioned that I must mention. I have no brothers. All I have is sisters. And my father was hardworking, not much time there in the week, but on Sundays we'd spend some time together. And when I went to the farm and so on, we had a friend from church, a little older guy, maybe a couple of years older than me. I don't know, maybe 10 years older than me or less. Peter. Peter was this type of person who, a jack of all trades. I don't know if there's anything Peter couldn't do. If he can't do it, he'll teach himself how to do it. I've seen him learn how to teach himself how to make a tie, how to make a jacket, how to make a pants. That's the type of person that he is. And listen, that's one of the most impacting persons I've ever met. Also, how to prepare lunch for church, how to cook, clean, how to speak to women, all of these things I learned from that gentleman. Running, that's who I credit to this day for my running. Up to this morning, I went for a run, 6 kilometers. He started me out when I was about 12 years old, and I'm almost 40 now, and I'm still running.
Yeah,
I'm talking about impact, and he was the one who showed me so many different things. So many different things. But I want to highlight the running, Craig, because I'm a runner up to today. And the dedication I have for running, I realize I can translate it to other areas of life. And so when it comes to academics, just as though I know I'm going to do a run and it's going to be punishing, it's going to have to be very early.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to have to get up and it's going to be cold and, maybe low visibility, but I'm going to have to go still. I know it's going to be nice in the middle sometimes. The first segment might be difficult, but the same principles I am applying to the run, I apply to the academics. Dedication to studying and preparing so that you can do well. You come to the church, dedication again. the commitment to studying and preparing and sharing. So it's the same thing that I'm applying right through. I think right across the board. The same thing I'm applying. And so when I say to students, you have to be. You can't just think of, okay, good in science. No, you have to be a great student. Full stop. And it affects every area of your life.
Yeah.
So even for the Christian, you can't be so spiritual and study all of these things. And then when you go to school, you're wasting your time.
Yeah.
No, that doesn't make sense.
Has to go right across.
Has to go right across. Or you can't be so academic. But when you think about church,
Yeah.
you're not studying. You get what I mean? And then you put sports in it. Let's say you're a sports person. Put your sports in it. You're so good at sports. You do nothing in church. You do nothing academics, but you're so good in sports.
Not gonna work. You know that from experience.
No, it's not gonna work. So this is what we have to see if we can get now for our young people to have a desire to be better. So this is my last mantra now that I'm pushing to students. Everyone I meet now, I'm saying, today is your opportunity to be better than you were. I don't care what you want to be in this life. If you're going to be a hustler, be the best you can be.
Yeah.
Today is an opportunity for you to be better.
And I can see with that passion and that drive that you have, that why you have been awarded the Science Teacher of the Year, because you have not only been, working with the subject, but you have been working with the science of people. Tell us about this award as we come to a close. Tell us about this award and what does it mean to be awarded this?
Just after the George Floyd protests, we had a discussion at work, about racism and what were the encounters like for some individuals within the workspace. And, we got introduced to the Diversity Mark program, and they have a suite of applications there that allow for evaluation first and foremost, and then having done your evaluations in terms of diversity, equality, and inclusion, you can then begin to embed this ethos, if you haven't already, within your school, and then you can also build on this ethos to then ensure that your entire operation has diversity, equality, and inclusion. So we got onto that program, and I was being mentored by someone else who guided me through leading the project from the start to the point where we were awarded the bronze mark. Okay. Which is really to show that there's a commitment to DEI within the academy, and you can see it all the way through, from policies to structure to the very plant itself. So working with them and leading that push to get us recognized led to, because they came in and did their evaluations as well, and then after their observations and evaluations, they gave us that award, or awarded us the bronze mark. And subsequent to that, myself and another teacher got awarded for that as well. Myself as Teacher of the Year, and then I think the other gentleman, Mr. Jackson, got an award as well. Okay. So awarded out of that. And
what comes with this award?
Well, a trophy definitely. But, yeah, it was just real recognition for that this award was geared towards. So that was really what came from it. Just recognizing the quality of the work that we have done and the contribution that we would have made.
And for you, with that passion that you have, and seeing that you can make a difference and you're making an impact in the classroom and in your workplace, what's the dream? What's the aim for the next 5-10 years?
Wow. I think 2 years ago I told a mentor that I'm very much desirous of becoming a head teacher. So that's I think, on the forefront of what I'm doing now. Seeking to gain the requisite experience now and training to fill that sort of a role within schools.
Yeah.
Teacher, and my route really is through leading behavior and culture for learning, because that's where my passion really lies.
Mm-hmm.
I love teaching chemistry, I really do. But leading behavior for learning and behavior and culture for learning, that's really where I think I want to settle, because you impact the whole school.
Yeah.
You really do impact the whole school from a behavior level.
Because I'm thinking, as you said, I'm not surprised you're saying that, because I'm seeing you because a head teacher once told me that you can make a bigger impact when you're outside of the classroom. Yes, you do the job in your classroom, but you want to be outside of the classroom where you can make the impact across the trust, across the academy, across education sector in general. So I'm looking forward to the day when you are the head teacher and hearing about it, because we need more head teachers like yourself, more people like yourself to become leaders, because what you find is a lot of head teachers become head teachers because they were good teachers or great teachers. And I always say being a good or a great teacher doesn't mean you're a great leader as an educator. And we look forward to that. So in the next couple of years, I'm sure it's not far from you becoming the next, outstanding head teacher for our community, for the community that you will be placing. So we want to hear great things from you. What's your last word, sir, that you would say to any parent, any student listening? What would you say? I mean, you have said so many great things already, but what is the last thing you would say to them?
I think my last words will be, this. What happens to a grape that gets dried in the sun?
Mm.
Is it now completely useless because it's lost all its water? It's dried and shriveled under the scorching heat, which has extracted all of this mass from it. Is it no longer of value? Or can we do something worthwhile with dried grapes?
Yeah.
We call them reasoners.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so we never give up.
Yeah.
We never give up. Parents, teachers, leaders, we never give up. Those are my last words.
That's a powerful analogy to leave us with, what happens when the grape becomes dried. That's powerful, Astor. Whenever I see grape now, I'll always remember that. Even though I don't like raisins, but I'll always remember that. Yeah.
Definitely.
It was, I know we could spend all day talking about education, because you and I we can see that we share some values, some great values in this space, and as I'm leaving out of the classroom, my days are getting shorter, and you are still having some more time to go. I'll be here behind you, and continue to do my part. And I'm sure you will continue to impact those students that come into your care. And I have no doubt, I believe that you are doing that to all the teachers who are watching and seeing you at work.
Definitely. Thank you so much, man. It was a pleasure sharing with you, man.
Thank you very much, Astor. And thank you for joining us on Impact. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video, and catch up on all the other videos. And we look forward to you joining us on our next episode. Until then, see you.